and you are live.
Thank you. I'd like to call a public safety meeting to order. Please, all members are present, and I need approval of our last meeting minutes, please.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. Thank you. We do have two new pieces in front of us. Our first piece is authorizing the mayor or his designee to enter into an agreement or other related agreements with Summit County and or other local communities in order to establish a more cost-effective joint public safety answering point facility and declare an emergency. And who do we have with us first to speak about this? Deputy Mayor Brown?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Cameron, members of the committee. I just wanted to share, we also have other folks on the call in case there's questions. Our Chief of Staff, Annie McFadden's on the call. The Director of Public Safety for Summit County is on the call. I think Mr. Brian Nelson from the Summit County Executive's Office, and he is the Chief of Staff. Deputy Chief Harding's on the call, and members of law. Just wanted to share some reasons why it's so important for us to move on forward to this with this opportunity. It creates area efficiencies during emergencies. It also improves interoperability, provides more space for employees in the center. It also provides more parking for our employees at the center. And we also have a dedicated training space. Another important piece is more purchasing power when we work with the county and other members for equipment, technology, and training. It is something I know you guys, some of you folks were able to get a chance to go out to the center and visit it. Those who have not been able to take a look at it, we will provide an opportunity for you to do that. So with that, any other members that I mentioned on the call that want to add something? Annie?
Yeah, absolutely. And then I can definitely turn it over to Deputy Chief Harding as well, who has a lot of good detail. But I think, you know, and members of our county friends are here that have been working hand in hand with us on this. So this is just an example of some true community collaboration. We've been working long and hard on this to really consolidate resources, to consolidate costs for all of us, improve efficiencies. So this has been a slow and very deliberate and thoughtful process about how we consolidate some of these dispatch services. So I just wanted to say, you know, thank you to the other communities. Thank you to the county for really leading on this effort. And we're really happy with this collaboration, and we're happy to move forward. So Deputy Chief Harding, if you have any details or anything specific that you'd like to highlight, we'd probably welcome that at this time too.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So no, thanks for having me. So big one for us is Akron's still going to continue to take Akron calls. We're going to be moving our facility from where we currently are to the new facility. That'll give us new equipment, which are a lot of our equipment now is end of life, workstations, parking for our employees, a new kitchen and area, but really excited about the training opportunity. In the middle of this shared space is a training facility, which we can share. So now that we share a phone system and Tyler's CAD and record management system with the county, it'll allow us to do some joint trainings with them in a new training location. When we hire, we'll have a dedicated space for hiring for when we train as well. So those are some efficiencies that are really excited to as part of this plan moving forward as well. So, but I'd be happy to answer any details anybody may have as well.
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
So if you have any questions, any members of the committee, have any questions, we'll certainly provide answers to those questions.
All right, thank you. I do have one question. The current space that we have, I've been up there, I think twice. What will happen to that area once we make the move? Does anybody know?
Brian?
Sure. So we will vacate that area there. That's actually part of the county building. Our plan would be leaving our backup center where it is in Triplet, and we would move some of that equipment to Triplet, and some of it's actually end of life and we will no longer need. So we would be working primarily out of the new facility.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Firsthand, I see Councilman Jeff Fusco.
Thank you, Chairman Kamer. Excuse me. Thank you, Chairman. No, I just want to, ask council to really take a deep dive and look at this. But the thing of it is that just what Brian Harding had mentioned, we will keep our autonomy. We will control our own destiny. That's very important for us. With regards to the regionalism piece, partnering with others in terms of space, training, equipment, etc., that we will realize the savings without question. And it's a great step toward regionalism. And I think it's fantastic what's been done here. But let's make sure we dot the I's, cross the T's. But I'm very happy to see that we will control our own destiny here, with all respect to our partners. Calls are just different. That's all there is to it. Just different from Akron than they are to other areas of the county. And so that's why I, for one, rise in favor of this. Just want to make sure everyone is comfortable with voting in favor of it. But I applaud the administration and the county and all the partners for forming this, and look forward to seeing it launched. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman. Councilman Malik?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you everyone who's shared information. Like Councilman Fusco, I think this is a great idea. I had the chance to go out and look at the facility, and it certainly is a really great new space. A lot of space for training, a big conference room, all of those things. So I think it's a great example of collaboration. 2 questions. First of all, are there any numbers in terms of the calculations that we've made as to, cost savings and efficiencies? And then 2, to Councilman Fusco's point, what was the thought process behind not going all the way and, fully participating and maintaining a separate structure? And is that something that would be considered down the road?
So I think, and Steve might have just hopped on, Steve, but I think Councilman had a couple questions about any numbers, or maybe if there's something that we can share with them moving forward.
Yeah, so let me, we are looking to fund this, this relocation out of issue 4 funds. It will be split between the police and fire issue 4. So we basically divided that money into a third, and we've determined, and I, off the top of my head, I don't know the percentage. It's a higher percentage to police just due to the way the calls work. But we'll finalize those numbers in terms of how that allocation hits across police and fire. The numbers, just off the top of my head, are approximately about $400,000 a year out of those funds in order to fund the debt service on, the purchase of the building and the improvements that we've made to the building and some of the equipment that we're going to buy.
And did anyone want to speak to the second half of that, the sort of the decision-making process on maintaining a separate PSAP versus, going with the consolidated county and the other cities?
I mean, I think that the mayor and the administration just felt that we want to keep our own dispatchers, for this endeavor. We want to relocate the COG and take advantage of some of the efficiencies that we'll be able to get with the county, all being in that same facility, but we wanted to maintain our own dispatchers.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councilman. Thanks, Steve. Any other committee members? What about any other council members that are online with us? All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor Brown, what are you thinking in regards to this piece, please?
I think consent agenda should be fine.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, committee, can I get a motion for consent agenda?
Motion for consent.
Second.
Motion a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, thank you. We'll place that on the consent agenda. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Our next piece is a resolution expressing support of Ohio House Bill 408, which seeks to address the rise in thefts of catalytic converters by banning the receipt, purchase, and sale of catalytic converters without proof of ownership and declaring an emergency. And I will call on one of the sponsors, Councilman Fusco or Councilman McKittrick, if they start, please.
Sure, I'll start. Thank you, Councilperson Kamer. This, obviously there's been a lot of play in the media in reference to this, to the increase in terms of the catalytic converters that have, they continue, the amount of catalytic converters that seem to be a target of theft has been on the increase. And Akron isn't alone in this. A lot of other cities have looked at this and explored it too. The value of the catalytic converter is what kind of it contains us, because we can't really legislatively do anything with regards to it. It's worth these are worth new anywhere from $1,000 to $3,500, brand new. If the value, for a used, and that's for the newer ones, but it seems as though in the market where these hot items exchange, it seems to be even possibly higher. We cannot do anything with regards. We cannot suspend someone's license if they're caught with a stolen catalytic converter. So after that, the next move was to find out what else is happening on the state level. And on the state level, there is quite a bit. There's a piece of legislation, and what I'm asking for is for council support of this legislation that has been introduced, from what I understand, in the State House. I don't know if it's been sent to a committee yet or not, but this is in support of that legislation. Which, with that legislation, and I have notes here. What it will do is, excuse me. There's a number of things this legislation will do. It's the catalytic converter is a special purchase article. It will declare that requiring scrap metal dealers who purchase them to comply with additional requirements, requires purchasers of catalytic converters who are not scrap metal dealers to comply with the same record keeping and transaction data submission requirements applicable to scrap metal dealers, imposes a $10,000 to $50,000 penalty on a business entity that violates the above requirements. It also requires the Director of Public Safety to use catalytic converter transaction data to make mandatory do not buy from list of persons who attempt to sell more than one catalytic converter in a day, and requires the director to keep those persons on a list for not more than 60 days, prescribes requirements for a catalytic converter sales license. So it's rather cumbersome, but perhaps it should be, because it seems as though there has been a dramatic increase in terms of these. Just I do have some data from the police department in terms of what we have is, at least in terms of 2021, 656 incidences of catalytic converters being taken in the city of Akron. And if you would compare November's, we got 13 in 2020 that was stolen, and 26, and of course in counting, for November of 2021. So this seems to be a major problem. Kind of turning it over, I'm sure it's going to change in terms of the state of Ohio, but at least they're going to make a move on this, and something's going to happen. So let's hope that they do the right thing and reduce this crime. That's my story. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Fusco. I appreciate it. Anyone else have any? Councilman McKittrick, you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This is not a new issue. This has been going on for years and years and years. I can remember back when employed with fire department of vehicles from church vehicles, dealerships for a long time. This has been ongoing, but as Councilman Fusco has stated, this has really shown a rise recently. We've seen some things in the news where we had a gentleman confront somebody on North Hill, and there really needs to be some resolve to it, because it's we've had our own some of our own city vehicles where there have been thefts. So I fully support this and hope that the rest of council will as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other committee members or council members? All right, I don't see any. I guess motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, thank you. We'll
Thank
pass
you.
that this evening. And nothing else come before us. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Move right into Health and Social Services meeting. Those committee members are Amo Freeman, Baylor, and Holland. We can just give everyone a moment to connect to video.
Sarah, for some reason, I can't see the legislation. I did read it, so I know that Councilwoman Mosley has presented these. So if you could read that for me after we do.
Sure, sure. And we do not have Councilman Freeman with us. Councilman Neal, can you hear us? You do have a quorum if you'd like to go ahead and get started.
Is Councilman Freeman planning to be present? Do you know?
I have not heard otherwise.
Okay. Let's get started.
Okay,
Let's call the Health and Social Services Committee to order. Roll call, please.
Mobian,
Present.
Freeman, Baylor,
Aye.
Neal, Holland. Okay, you do have a quorum with council members Amobian, Baylor, and Holland.
May I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting, please?
So moved. Second.
So we moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? The motion passes. There's no old items to my knowledge. Is that correct, Sarah?
That is correct.
Okay. Could you read the first legislation, please?
Sure. Item number 5 is a resolution urging the city of Akron to implement a program to make feminine hygiene products free and accessible with dignity and restrooms in all city-owned or operated buildings and declaring an emergency.
Is Councilwoman Mosley available?
She is here.
Yeah, I'm here.
I would defer to Councilwoman Mosley.
Thank you. Yes, is this the resolution, Sarah?
Yes.
Okay. This is the resolution supporting feminine hygiene products being available in all city-owned and operated buildings in the city of Akron. And I'm asking for its passage. A study shows that a study that Kotex did in 2021 showed that many women miss out on work and school due to not being able to afford feminine hygiene products. And this resolution would support us putting these items in those public spaces for women. And I hope that it has your support.
And you're referencing all of our community centers and any places that's owned by the city of Akron that would have restrooms and places for women to
Correct.
contain these products?
Correct.
I see. And the other cities that you reference in your resolution, that's kind of what they're doing?
Yes, and most
Their
recently,
cities.
and most recently, the city of Cleveland, they just passed theirs as well. There are currently 23 states that have feminine hygiene products legislation. More recently, I just was told today that the state of Michigan passed it for the entire state. So they are the first to do it for the entire state. And also keeping in mind, Ohio is already a pink tax state. So it all really goes hand in hand.
Are there questions from the committee members?
Madam Chair, I can see that Councilwoman Holland has her hand raised.
Please, Councilwoman Holland.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Councilwoman Mosley, for introducing this. This is crucially important legislation for the girls and women of the city of Akron. Period poverty is an issue around the world. And I am so happy for this opportunity to recognize this very real issue here in the city of Akron. This is about compassion and dignity and respect. And I wholeheartedly support this ordinance. And I hope that all the women and all the men of city council will do so as well. Thank you.
Are there other comments from other council members? Hearing none, I strongly support this as well. And when I read it, I was rather surprised that we didn't have things like this. But I know that in some of our community centers, we also need to make sure we keep toilet paper and paper towels and soap in those facilities as well. So I hope we do a better job at those. There are many that I visit and find those items not to be present. So with that said, Councilwoman Mosley, do you want this to be suspension of rules, or do you want to give council members an opportunity to?
Consent agenda is fine. It's fine.
Okay. Okay. Is there a motion for consent?
Motion for consent.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Okay. Motion passes. Is there, will you read the second legislation, Sarah, please?
Sure. Item number 6 is an ordinance authorizing the purchasing agent, after publicly advertising for bids, to enter into a contract or contracts for the purchase of feminine hygiene products to be provided for free in restrooms in all city-owned or operated buildings, authorizing the expenditure of funds therefore and declaring an emergency.
I'm deferring again to Councilwoman Mosley.
Thank you, Councilwoman Amobian. This is the ordinance that supports the resolution that we just voted on. This will allow the purchasing agent to go out and seek bids in order to supply the city of Akron with those products. And I ask for its passage.
And the amount is what, $16,000? Is that what I saw?
Well, 14 to 16, and that really came from looking at the other cities, what they put in as an estimate. It could come in lower than that, but this is sort of like a benchmark as to what, based off of the study, how much in a woman's lifetime, they said it will cost her a little over $6,000 to support a menstrual cycle. So it's going based off of those numbers, but it could very well come in way under that.
I see. Okay. So we feel we have enough funds with this amount.
Oh, I would.
Are there any,
We would definitely have enough funds for this.
okay. Are there any comments or questions by committee members? Anybody hand raised, Sarah?
Madam Chair, I don't see any committee members with their hands, but I do see that Councilman Fusco has his hand raised.
Yes. Mr. Fusco, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairwoman Amobian. I too rise in favor of this legislation, and I applaud the efforts of introducing this. And I just have one question though, and that is for Mr. Fricker. I do know that, and based on the last piece, we're going to put that on the consent agenda, but the timing, I guess, is what I'm asking. And that is, wanting to move forward on this in a timely fashion. I'm sure the sponsor and all on council would like to see this done in a timely fashion. I know that IT goes down I think in December. So I don't know if it play into that or not in terms of perhaps wanting to suspend the rules on this one, or if it would make a difference one way or the other, Mr. Fricker.
So what I would suggest is, I believe that we could probably take this, enter a requisition. We're actually putting requisitions in for the new year. Now, we don't approve them, right away until the new year actually rolls over, but that might expedite the process. So we could put the requisition in, key it into 2022, and then it would be ready to go, basically first thing next year. If that would be, acceptable for everyone.
So you're suggesting that we suspend the rules with the favorable report?
That's what I'm not on the committee, but I would ask on, yes, thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion for suspension of the rules with the favorable report?
Motion to suspend the rules with a favorable report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. There's no problem, Sarah, with us deferring the resolution and passing the ordinance to support it?
That's fine. You put that on the consent agenda, though. Would you prefer for someone to make a motion to suspend the rules on that as well?
If there's a problem with us doing it this way.
To my knowledge, there's not. But I would defer to our legal representative, Ms. Advent.
The pieces can be treated separately since they're two separate pieces, unless you wanted them to go in together. There'd be no problem with keeping them separate the way you have it as consent and suspension of the rules, or you vote on them together.
Okay, that's fine. As long as there's no problem, I'm fine with that. Are there any other questions, comments, or anything else coming for the committee, Sarah?
There is not.
Committee members, is there anything else to come in for the committee? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Our next committee today will be the Public Utilities and Green Committee, and that will begin at 2:45. So we have just a few minutes here. Those committee members are Freeman, McKittrick, Connor, Mosley, and Holland. Again, we have just a few minutes, and we'll begin at 2:45. Our next committee of the day is the Public Utilities and Green Committee. Those committee members again are Freeman, McKittrick, Connor, Mosley, and Holland. We do have all members present whenever you're ready, Mr. Chair.
All right, Sarah, I'm not in a real good place here. Am I coming through okay?
Yes.
Okay, very good. All right, then like to call the Public Utilities and Green Committee meeting to order. And if we could, please, we'll go ahead and do a roll call.
Freeman.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
All committee members are present.
Okay, we have one item, and I'm going to ask if you could please, Sarah, read that in for us.
Sure. Item number 2 is an ordinance authorizing the mayor or his designee to participate in the Water Resource Restoration Sponsor Program and to enter into a sponsorship agreement with the Columbus and Franklin County Metro Parks for the sponsorship of the Clear Creek Bank Stabilization and Fish Habitat Project under the WRRSP and declaring an emergency.
All right, who'll be speaking for us here?
I will be speaking, Mr. Chairman. This is Chris Luddle. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of committee. As in the past, we've sponsored numerous projects across the state, some of our own projects and some by other park districts or municipalities. So this one is, we are going to be sponsoring the Columbus and Franklin County Metro Parks. It's a bank stabilization program in their Clear Creek Clear Creek, which is in the Ohio River watershed. This is about 40 miles southeast of Columbus, this downtown Columbus, this park. Our sponsorship will come from the interest that we will be paying on our SSR, which is our sanitary sewer reconstruction large diameter lining project. That's about a $3 million project. Typically, we don't know what the savings will be until the bond is issued, but this bond has already been issued. We have a very favorable interest rate on this project, sir. It's a 30-year loan, and our interest rate is 0.68% over 30 years. This will drop it down to 0.61%, almost 0.7%, which will save us about $34,000 over the life of this loan by just sponsoring this project. The interest from our project is about $230,000 that will fund this bank stabilization project. The total project's over $750,000. So they are going to be looking at other funds through whatever grants they can get for this project, this bank stabilization project. So with that, I will take any questions.
Okay. And we've entered into agreements like this before.
Oh, yes, numerous ones. And it saves us interest. It doesn't cost any money for us to do this. We like to do our own project. We like to sponsor our own. And we looked at one up in Birtland Wetlands, but it was about the same amount of money. And we thought that we needed to, we didn't feel like it was prudent to spend another $500,000 of general fund water money on something we own and we're managing now. So if there was the opportunity, we would definitely do it. But this was a good fit for our project.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Luddle. Questions or comments? Sarah, do we have any hands raised?
There are not any hands raised at this time.
Okay, I do not see anything. Mr. Luddle, would consent be okay on this, or do we need this here?
No, consent would be fine, sir.
Okay, then. So do I have a motion for consent?
Motion for consent.
Thank you, Mr. McKittrick.
Second.
And we have a second from Ms. Holland. Thank you. All in favor of placing this item on the consent agenda, please let it be known by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Luddle. And I do not believe that we have anything else coming before us, and we will adjourn at 2:51. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Our last committee of the day is the Budget and Finance Committee. We have a presentation from Guidehouse today. Those committee members are Freeman, Amobian, Malik, Baylor, and Lombardo. That will begin at 3 o'clock. So we will end our live